From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Back to school for the first time in 5 months for thousands of Billings students. COVID-19 changed a lot about the school day, from block schedules to distance learning. Billings School District 2 Superintendent Greg Upham said students were excited to be back learning in person for the first time since last school year. In his visits to several schools today, Upham said teachers saw no problems getting students to wear their masks while in the classroom. Well, the school district is pleased with the first day under its belt. There's obviously a lot of school left to go this year.
I was really pleased today. The masking, the students were outstanding, all the way from our high school students down to our elementary age students. Our staff said they were very, very pleased with the masking. Challenges with physical distancing, which we knew, not so much in the schools, but just students touching, or not touching students, but being in proximity out on the playground at lunchtime. So we'll have to keep working with our students about physical distancing.
Remote learning students will start their classes next Monday, but they will have a virtual meet and greet with their teachers coming up this Friday. Just days into a new school year, kids in Shepherd are already being told to stay home because of COVID-19. Classes are canceled for the next 2 days following a positive case. Schools will now undergo a deep cleaning. The district planned to check out laptops to students in case a situation like this came up. However, now that will have to wait. The superintendent says teachers will contact students about homework. Well, the announcement last week from Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton that high school and middle school sports will go on, but without fans in the stands, has received a lot of mixed feelings and strong reaction about how events will be handled. Tonight, Felton addressed concerns during an hour-long Facebook Live event. The public had until noon to submit questions to be answered. Now, according to Felton, the goal is to help the public understand the decision-making process and the considerations that went into planning. Felton left some hope that family members could still get to see their students play this year, saying that the decision to ban fans will be reconsidered depending on what happens with COVID numbers after school has been in session for a couple of weeks. We'll have more on this coming up on the Q2 News at 10 o'clock. There are new deaths to report when it comes to Montana's fight against COVID-19. The virus has claimed the lives of 2 more people here in Yellowstone County, bringing the number of people who've passed away here from COVID-related deaths to 36 now. A death was also reported in Flathead County, as well as the second one so far in Stillwater County. Total number of deaths in the state stands at 93. Active cases around the state numbers more than 1,500, with more than half of those active cases here in Yellowstone County. An Amber Alert issued for a Flathead County baby. Law enforcement is looking for 6-year-old Lucas Warner, who they say was kidnapped by his non-custodial father, who suffers from mental health issues. MTN's Marin Sue spoke with Lucas's aunt, who tells us what the public can do to help find the baby.
It's a family's worst nightmare, and it all started Saturday, August 22nd, when Mom Riley came home and found her 6-month-old son Lucas missing.
You just never think those things are going to happen to your family until something like that does. It's definitely scary, but it's definitely eye-opening that the world can be an evil place.
Macy Dompf just wants to know if her 6-month-old nephew Lucas is safe. Flathead County Sheriff Brian Hano says law enforcement got the initial call on Saturday, August 22nd.
I got a call from a mother that had returned home, and her baby was missing at that point. So originally called in as kind of a kidnapping. When law enforcement got on scene, they determined that the biological father was actually the one that took the child, and a babysitter that was there as well most likely was with him.
Sheriff Hano says law enforcement believes this kidnapping was planned by Lucas's non-custodial father, Andrew Warner, and babysitter, Haley Emerson. Right now, law enforcement are looking for a late 90s to early 2000s white Chevy extended cab pickup with unknown license plates, and they're working quickly on many leads with multiple counties to find Lucas.
Working with, several witnesses in several different counties right now, just to determine, so we can check on the welfare of this child.
Aunt Macy has a message for Andrew and Haley.
Please bring Lucas to safety. Please don't involve him in this. Just make the right choice and bring him home where he belongs.
If you have any information at all, you're to contact the Flathead County Sheriff's Office. In Kalispell, Marin Sue, MTN News.
And we just want to show you that information one more time. Again, Lucas Warner from Columbia Falls was taken by his non-custodial father, Andrew Warner, and the babysitter, Haley Emerson. Andrew is reportedly bipolar and off his medication. Authorities again want the public to watch out for a white early 2000 year Chevy extended pickup with unknown plates. They were possibly headed to the Bob Marshall Wilderness, North Dakota, South Dakota, or Wyoming. So if you have any information, you're asked to call 911. New CBS poll shows more Republicans say being a Trump supporter is more important to their political identity than being a Republican. Those two values came together tonight as the Republican National Convention kicked off. Natalie Brand has more.
Law and order takes center stage on night one of the Republican National Convention.
Democrats have turned their backs on our brave police officers. They call it defunding. And it's a danger to our cities, our neighborhoods, and our children.
South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, who has led Republican police reform efforts in Congress, is calling for communities and law enforcement to work together following the protests that have gripped the nation. Also appearing, Mark and Patricia McCloskey, the St. Louis couple facing felony charges after waving firearms at Black Lives Matter protesters in late June.
Democrats no longer view the government's job as protecting honest citizens from criminals, but rather protecting criminals from honest citizens.
President Trump will be featured each night of the convention, including Monday night's appearance with frontline workers.
These are the incredible workers that helped us so much with the COVID. We can call it many different things, from China virus. I don't want to go through all the names because some people may get insulted.
President Trump accused Democrats of politicizing the pandemic during an appearance with delegates Monday afternoon.
What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. They're using COVID to defraud the American people, all of our people, of a fair and free election.
President Trump's oldest son, Donald Trump Jr., and his former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, are also featured speakers tonight. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
And stay with MTN for coverage from the RNC, which wraps up on Thursday night. Republicans here in Billings getting energized as the convention gets underway. Republican Senator Steve Daines watching the first night of the Republican National Convention here in Billings with his supporters and campaign volunteers. He believes that President Trump has solid support here in the state, which will undoubtedly provide a boost to Daines in his bid to win another term in Washington.
But I've never seen such energy and enthusiasm at this moment for this election. I've seen this great turnout here tonight in Billings, just a room packed full of volunteers who are knocking on doors, making phone calls. Montanans want to elect a senator who's going to stand with President Trump. And my opponent, Steve Bullock, has said he's a single issue voter, and that is removing President Trump from office. I want to work with President Trump. Steve Bullock wants to remove him from office. Montanans will stand with President Trump.
Daines says the president is keeping a close eye on Montana and could still come here to campaign. Well, crews continue to tackle a wildfire that broke out west of Bozeman near Norris Hot Springs. What started off as a 100-acre fire has now burned more than 1,700 acres. Today, crews continue to work on putting flames out and are working on burn operations to help secure that area. Officials say the cause of the Bradley Creek fire remains unknown. The Department of Natural Resources and Conservation reports that fire is about 20% contained. And the Lone Star fire in Yellowstone National Park, about 3 miles south of Old Faithful, is now estimated at 300 acres. It was started by lightning this past Saturday. It's not burning toward Old Faithful, we're told. The road between Old Faithful and West Thumb, though, is closed temporarily because of smoke from the fire, and there are other closures of campsites and trails in that area. And a haze has settled into western Montana due to those wildfires from hundreds of miles away. MTN's Russ Thomas shows us how the smoke is impacting our air quality and, for some, their health.
As smoke from massive California wildfires continues to pour into western Montana, our air quality continues to take a hit.
Our conditions in Missoula County are in the upper limits of moderate and occasionally tipping over into unhealthy for sensitive groups.
The designation of unhealthy for sensitive groups impacts a larger segment of the population than many realize.
It includes children, it includes the elderly, it's anyone with heart or lung disease, it's people with diabetes, it's people who are pregnant. It's a pretty significant portion of our population.
It would seem that the best answer on how to avoid excessive wildfire smoke inhalation would be to stay indoors. However, Missoula City County Air Quality Specialist Sarah Cofield says that smoke will find its way into your home. She says it's important to be proactive when keeping your home as smoke-free as possible.
You can create cleaner indoor air spaces on a room-by-room basis with a portable air cleaner with a true HEPA filter in it, or you can make your own air cleaner using a box fan and a furnace filter.
She adds it's important to do your homework to make sure you have the right type of filter. If you have to spend time outdoors, Cofield suggests taking it easy.
If you are outside, try to avoid exerting yourself really heavily.
And if you think wearing your cloth mask outdoors will keep those unhealthy air particulates out, guess again.
These are not designed to prevent you from inhaling smoke. So keep wearing them, but don't use them expecting them to protect you from wildfire smoke.
Right now, it appears we have about another 24 to 48 hours of smoky air conditions before air quality begins to improve later in the week. In Missoula, Russ Thomas, MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 9 o'clock news, it's being played up as one of the big issues in Montana's race for governor, but how different really are the two candidates when it comes to the sales tax issue? And Bob will tell you what's ahead for the weather for your week ahead right after the break.